Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's another episode of the All We Do Is Talk podcast. Today, we're here to talk the NFC as a whole, going through divisions, over-unders for team total wins. Here with Moody and Isaiah. What's going on today, boys?
All I know is I guess it's the middle of the summer because y'all got hoodies on. I don't got my hoodie. I guess I don't get the memo.
I'm in Cali. It's always hoodie weather over here, baby. Always hoodie weather.
AC booming over here. So. But yeah, let's get it started. I guess we'll go right into the thick of it. We'll go NFC East off rip. Who wants to start this one?
So I'll just list it out. So in order from lowest win total to highest, we're gonna start with my New York Giants, who are getting 7.5.
Oh, what?
Hell
no.
Go ahead, Isaiah. What you picking, Isaiah? Go ahead.
I've got the Giants at 7-10. I think they will get to scrape 6 to 7 wins. I think they could win 8 games if they're lucky. I just wouldn't bet on it. If things broke right, and Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas became all-pro level players, Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari, who are both hurt already, were to become Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber players, the Giants would be great because then they'd have 2 stalwarts in the trench on each side of the trenches. But I doubt that everything. Huh?
Who's scoring touchdowns?
Not a receiver.
Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, and Mr. Rondell Robinson.
None of those guys have ever scored touchdowns in a New York Giants uniform.
And those are the top. And those are the top receivers in our free agent market in our fantasy.
Well, all I know is Jason Garrett won't be calling plays for the Giants this year. They will score touchdowns. I expect Saquon Barkley to have a bounce back season if he stays healthy. Knock on wood. That over there. But I'm gonna go with the under. I got the Giants at 7 wins.
Yeah, I got under easy. I think y'all are in Bryce Young, CJ Stroud territory. I think y'all should do that. I think that's what they want to do that.
I just don't think the team's bad enough, unfortunately. I just don't think I think it's mediocre enough to scrape together.
The NFC schedule will always come through when it matters most. But I'll also take the under for the New York Giants. It's not their time to win that many games yet. Probably not best for the franchise to win that many games, to be honest with you. And only Daniel Jones would benefit from winning that many games.
And unfortunately, everybody in NFC East is playing the worst schedule, strength of schedule wise.
Unfortunately. Sounds very fortunate.
It's fortunate. So we'll all take the under. Next, we've got the Washington Commanders getting a solid 8.5. How are we feeling?
Well, go ahead, Eric.
I'll go first. That's another under. They're not a 500 team, I don't think. I think this division will be 2 teams that I think will separate themselves clearly from these bottom 2 teams.
It's just amazing what a difference a year makes. Washington was the crown jewel of the NFC East. They had next. It was the Ryan Fitzpatrick show, and now we can't even pick them to win 8 games. Even though they have the best quarterback they've had in 6 years since Cousins left. But yeah, I'm still taking the under. Chase Young's knee still isn't quite right. That offensive line is probably the worst in the division. It's going to be pretty rough for them. I don't expect Ron Rivera to get out of this season. I'll take the under.
Ooh, he's saying a coach firing. I'll also take the under, but just slightly. I think they could win 8. I think they could win 8 to 9 games. I think this is the best quarterback play they'll have in a long time. I think they'll get a great season out of Scary Terry. Out of Jaha Dotson, looks like a monster in camp apparently. Offensive line shaky. We'll see about that. I would say I love the running back room, but unfortunately,
one guy got shot.
Yeah, so that is what it is. Luckily, he's still alive, but I've got him under. But just like the Giants, I think they're slightly under. I think the schedule is going to pad up the win total, and everybody will look a little better than they are probably this year.
I just want for the record, Jahan Dotson was my wide receiver 1 in the draft. I just want to put that back on the record.
Okay. Moving on, we have a tie for the teams at the top, and I guess we could just go with them both and then pick our winner. We've got the Cowboys and Eagles both getting 9.5. Moody's the Cowboys fan, so we'll let him go first.
I'm sick of the Cowboys right now, y'all. I'm actually very frustrated with them. They deserve to go 5-12. for the kind of offseason they've had. But when you have generational defensive talent in Michael Parsons, franchise quarterback play, that's usually good enough to scrape the 8, 9, 10 wins. I have the Cowboys at 9-8, so I'm going to pick the under.
Eric, you want to go ahead? And Eagles?
Yeah, I have that. Go ahead.
I'll take the over for Philly. They've got the best roster in the division, one of the best rosters in the NFC East. NFC, they won 9 games with a bad Jalen Hurts. If he's slightly better, they should win 10.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as Moody. I have Philly winning the division, but I still have Dallas making the playoffs. I think they're both right at that 10-9 range. I think those two teams will beat up on Washington and New York.
I disagree. I disagree with the Dallas take. I'm going to take Philadelphia to win the division. I think it's an over. I think you hit that easily. I think Philadelphia could win the 1 seed, how talented their roster is. I think Dallas is a 9-win team. They might sneak into the wild card. They might not. I don't have them picked to go to the wild card on my teams, but I have Philly winning the division. And last year, when I was correct to pick 2 teams to make the playoffs out of this division, I'm going to go on the other side. I think Philly dog walks it, barring any crazy injuries. And I think the Cowboys are still good enough, but I don't know. The Tyron Smith injury and the loss of receivers and Michael Gallup coming back hurt throughout the season, I think this is going to be a bumpy year for the Cowboys. But the Eagles, as long as they stay healthy, they'll be fine.
All right, yeah, I guess let's move on to the NFC North. Take it away with the totals, Isaiah.
All right. Rounding up the rear, we've got the Chicago Bears at 5.5. And for me, barring a crazy Justin Fields ascension into Aaron Rodgers status, I'm going to hit the under. I think the Bears might be the worst. You talk about the Giants tanking. I think the Bears are tanking, and I think they're going to blow this whole up, and I think they will probably be a bottom 3 team in the league this year, barring Justin Fields becoming a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, the Bears didn't operate like a team this offseason that's trying to win football games. New head coach hire. They let a bunch of guys go in free agency. They really didn't add anybody of note back, despite having a quarterback on a rookie contract. They don't really seem to be too interested in helping Justin Fields become a good quarterback as well. So this looks like a team that wants a Bryce Young, CJ Stroud type of number 1 overall pick next year and are ready to detonate this whole thing. I agree with Isaiah. It'd be shocking if they got over 5.5 wins, even in their terrible division. It's not a good look for Chicago. They might be the worst team.
Yeah, I have them as the worst team in football. I just don't understand why draft a rookie quarterback when you're gonna blow it up anyways. I feel like
that's never the plan. They weren't.
And I tell you, you don't let lame duck coaches draft franchise quarterbacks. You can't do it. Like either you gotta let that guy go a year early, or you gotta not avoid the QB draft a year late. But you can't let them happen at the same time because it ends in disaster.
I mean, they've only done it with the last 2 quarterbacks they've drafted now.
And how's that worked out?
I mean, in Chicago, they don't develop quarterbacks. All right, moving on to the second highest win total projection is the Detroit Lions at 6.5. And I'm going to go easy here. I think I almost predicted the Detroit Lions to go worst to first. I just couldn't get that ballsy. But I do believe the Detroit Lions will be a playoff team this year, and I have the over, and it is my best value bet of this over-under segment that we'll probably have for the NFC. I think they'll have a top 5 offensive line. I think the receiving room will be elitely talented, especially when Jameson Williams is back to form. I think Jared Goff is just good enough to not fuck it up too badly. And I think they're going to have the coach of the year, but we'll say that for the awards. But I got Detroit over 6.5.
Go ahead, Eric. You're the fan of the cover guys here. You give us the hype.
Yeah, I'm going easy over here. I'm not quite. I think Isaiah just took the cake from me for being the Lions guy, but I have easy over here. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to be a jolt to that defense. They have a great O-line. They have a running back that's talented enough to do damage behind that offensive line. And like Isaiah said, Jared Goff is good enough to get it done.
Yeah, I agree with the rest of the party here. I think that's a pretty confident over for the Detroit Lions. I still worry about that defense. Really can't name more than a couple players on that defensive side of the football, but hopefully Dan Campbell's rah-rah attitude can get those guys playing motivated, and the offensive line run game can keep them off the field. But when you have an offensive line like that, you got to expect 6, 7, 8 wins just off of the backbone of that alone. They're going to beat up on the Chicago Bears. I think they'll probably beat up on Minnesota too and really take it to the NFC North. So I'll take the over for Detroit.
All right. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings with a new head coach, a new Sean McVay clone. How y'all feeling? They're set at 9.5.
9.5 for Minnesota? Wow, that's actually really surprising. I'm going to take the under here. New head coach. They've been the same team for so long, and maybe this guy's just so much better than Mike Zimmer that it makes that much of a difference. But when it comes to Kirk Cousins, 9 wins is your limit, and that's where they're going to be.
I'm in disagreement with you, Moody. I'm going over because I think this is a top 2 wide receivers and running back trio in the league. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. I think those are lethal enough weapons for Kirk Cousins because I have Minnesota winning this division this year.
It's your turn. It was Isaiah last year. And now it's Eric's turn this year to knock Aaron Rodgers off the throne. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the Devontae Adams loss is a huge question mark for production for Green Bay. But I know where the production's coming from for Minnesota. So I'll go over 9.5 for Minnesota.
Eric, you read my mind. I am also going over. I think there's a future offensive player of the year on this Minnesota team that's going to be playing in a Cooper Cup like role. We'll save the rest of that for later. But I'm all in. I think the coaching is going to be just totally different. The offense will be explosive. For one, Kirk Cousins has been running this offense literally his whole life. He's built for it. I think the defense will come back to form, and I just believe in the offense. It's scary because Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, but I also think the division and the schedule will break right for Minnesota because the NFC is just
And you ain't going to tell me Zadarius Smith ain't going to tell him all the Packers' secrets on defense because he literally went to Minnesota to play Green Bay twice. So he unleashing all the secrets.
So, yeah, I'm going with the over, and Minnesota is one of my playoff teams. So we'll continue, but I might have 3 playoff teams from this division. Oh, continuing.
Yeah, move on.
Green Bay, 10.5. Easy over. I'm sorry. I don't care what Eric said about Devontae Adams. This is Aaron Rodgers' division until proven otherwise. I think they won't be as strong. I picked the over.
Yeah, you're picking up 10+ wins. That's
Yeah, the NFC's bad. The NFC's bad. So yeah, I'm gonna hold my over, and I believe that they will be the champions of the division. But I do think there will be 3 teams out of this division to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's an easy over. This is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about here. The same way I said Kirk Cousins' ceiling is 9 wins, Aaron Rodgers' floor is 11. And that's just the way it's been for when he's healthy for most of his career. They'll figure out the Devontae Adams thing. They did get some names in there, some draft picks. They did invest in the position. They're getting Bakhtiari back. I expect a strong run game. And they probably have the most talented defense in the NFL, top to bottom, across the board. There are no weaknesses on all 3 levels of it. It's fantastic. I expect it to be really good. You pair great defense with great quarterback, they're gonna fall into 12 wins, especially playing the NFC East and the NFC North. Easy over. They're gonna win the division, no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not slighting Aaron Rodgers. I still have them making the playoffs. I have them right at 9-10 wins. I'll go over just because it's Aaron bleeping Rodgers. Yeah, but I think this will be one of the second best by far division in the NFC.
All right, so I guess we're going to move on to the NFC South, and we'll save the best division in the conference for later. Rounding up the rear, we've got the Atlanta Falcons at 4.5.
4.5.
Anybody want to jump on this right away?
I'll go. Yeah,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Eric.
Okay. I have under here. Because I think there's gonna be some surprises in this division. Not a huge one. Don't expect nothing crazy. But I just don't see many wins on this schedule for them.
It's
I
hard
think
to
they'll
win
be
less
the
than
number 2
4.
pick.
It's hard to win less than 5 games. It really, really is. Like, you got to be absolute garbage. But, like, how can you really believe in Marcus Mariota at this point?
With no weapons.
I actually do think I like Drake London. Kyle Pitts is going to be a stud. Scordell Patterson. I don't hate their weapons. Like, I just hate the QB that's going to get them the weapons. And Arthur Smith's built on running the football. I still don't really see how they run the football that well. So their defense is still abysmal too, outside of 1 or 2 players. So I guess I'll take the under 2. It's just they're the least talented team. They're the least talented team, and it's
by a lot
tough.
in this division.
It's really tough, especially in the division they're in. New Orleans is going to beat the shit out of them. The Bucks are going to take care of business. It's just under. I'll take the under.
Now I might be spoiling that I believe that Mr. Winston will be throwing a pick 6 that's backbreaking in week 1 against Atlanta, but I'm taking the over because I do believe that Desmond Ridder will take over the job from Marcus Mariota. I believe he will be the best rookie quarterback this year unless Malik Willis gets to take over Tennessee. And I do believe that they're coaching.
I mean, he'll be the only rookie quarterback.
No, maybe in Tennessee, Kenny Pickett. There's other rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, but they're not starting. They're not starting.
Neither is him.
So
yeah,
but he's got the quickest path to starting. I agree with that.
And I think they have the best coaching in the division, and that bodes well for you. I think they have the best coaching in the division, and I don't think it's close actually. Now that I forgot that Tampa Bay doesn't have Bruce Arians no more. So yeah, I think they have the best coaching in the division. I think that's good enough to scrape together another 6, 7, 8 win season like they did last year. They'll be mediocre, but I think their coaching will carry them and their weapons will. So next we've got Eric's Carolina Panthers at 6.5.
Yeah, I have over. I have them finishing second in the division. I just think with a healthy Christian McCaffrey, and I think way better quarterback play than last year, even though it's Baker Mayfield. The Panthers had the worst quarterback production last year out of anybody. So I think with Baker, I think the offense will be much better.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, Eric. I think it's an easy over for you guys. I really liked y'all team last year. The injuries kind of tore it apart, and you were starting Sam Darnold. You aren't going to win a lot of games with Sam Darnold starting. But with Baker Mayfield in there, hopefully some improved offensive line play, McCaffrey back. I love the receiving core. And most importantly, I love Phil Snow in the defense. Aggressive. They get after it. They get after the quarterback. I don't think they'll miss Reddick at all, just the way they can be creative with their schemes. Gator Gross Models was my breakout player at the edge position. I think they win 7, 8, 9 games comfortably. So I'll take the over.
Yeah, it's easy. That's a nice value bet. Hit the over. I think the defense will do a lot of heavy lifting when Baker Mayfield isn't out there cooking up some turnovers. But I do think the offense will be way better than it was last year. Better be. But if they don't make the playoffs, their coaches might still get fired.
They will get fired. For sure.
Next, we have New Orleans at 8.5. How are we feeling about that?
New Orleans is tough because, as we know, Sean Payton is not there anymore. No Sean Payton, no Drew Brees. The foundation of all their success is out of the window now. You got it at 8.5. They've been so good at beating the Bucks and surviving, but I think without Sean Payton, I think this is the year that the straw finally breaks the camel's back. I'll give them the under. Defense is older. They've lost a couple of starters on that unit. The offense is meh without Sean Payton really pulling the strings there. We'll see what Dennis Allen can do for them. But yeah, I think with improvement within the division and just around their overall lack of coaching, I don't think they're going to win 9 games the way they've been able to pull out the last couple of years with Taysom Hill and Bridgewater and those guys. I'll take the under.
Yeah, I totally agree with Moody. The loss of Marcus Williams, some Asian pieces on the defense, loss of Sean Payton, easy under. I think Jameis Winston has a decent season, but I think he's coming off the ACL. He might be a little shaky, and a shaky Jameis Winston is a Jameis Winston. Is a Jameis Winston who's turning the football over, And yeah, I think he'll cost them some good games early. They might still beat up on Tampa Bay, which I'd love to see, but I think it's an easy under. I don't really think this is a playoff team.
Tampa Bay. Oh,
You
did
want the
I?
under?
Oh, yeah, I'm
didn't
going
say
under. I thought I already spoke about them. Yeah, I think Sean Payton is a huge loss for them. And they've traded away corners. I just think they're going down, not up.
Yeah. And lastly, Tampa Bay. I think we're all in agreement that they're going to win the division. They were the only team I picked from this division to make the playoffs, but I'm still going with the under. I think it's a little bit of a shaky season for Tampa Bay. I think they'll get through. They'll be coasting. They'll be coasting through. They got Tom Brady. They got Mike Evans. They got a talented team. They'll coast through the regular season and be ready to make some noise in the playoffs.
What was the win total?
11.5. I got the under.
11.5. The NFC is too weak for them not to get that. And Tom Brady, as long as his at-home issues don't creep onto the field, and I don't think they will, I fully expect those guys to win 12, 13 games and win the division handedly. I'll take the over.
You're taking the is 11.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, 11 is like right where I have them.
Yeah, I have them at 11 too. That's why I took the under.
I'll go over. I'm in agreement with Moody. Like, I think it's either them or Philly for the one spot.
Oh, shoot. The NFC West. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and breeze through this. So, Seattle, 5.5.
Under. They're the worst team in football.
I'm
That's all I
actually
have
going
to
with
say.
the over. I believe in you. I believe in you, Pete Carroll. Geno Smith and Drew Lock. They'll work that out. I think the
Let it
coaching's
go. Let Drew Lock go, man.
I think the coaching's good enough to get them to 6 wins. That's not a good season, but I think the respectability. They'll show some respectable fight.
There are 4 teams in the CJ Stroud, Bryce Harper sweepstakes, and Seattle is one of them. That's all.
Absolutely.
So you guys are both going the under. I'll go with the over.
Especially with the division they play, I don't know how they get a division game. Like, honestly, I just don't see how they even get one. I don't care how good they've been beating the Niners recently. Russell Wilson ain't here no more.
So next we've got Arizona at 8.5. Let's not forget that DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games, and that is the reason I went with the under. I think they'll be good offensively, but I can't buy into this team. We know they're going to be probably brutal on the back end of the season, so I'm going to take the under. But I think they're like an 8-win team. They could win 9 games, but I'll take the under.
I tend to agree. I probably take the under as well. It just seems like they kind of peaked at what their like highest capabilities are, and now they've kind of just settled into like the trade. The Marquise Brown trade should help. Hopefully they get DeAndre Hopkins back healthy at some point. They'll be able to turn things around. It'll probably be a flip where they start slow and end fast. But I think in that division, they'll fall too far behind to really catch up. I'll take the under.
Yeah, I agree. Under as well. I don't think this division will get 3 teams in. They could, but I think it's going to stay with 2. So I'll take the under.
Next, we have San Francisco moving on to Trey Lance, but keeping Jimmy G around at 9.5. They're one of the playoff teams I have in my bracket. I think this is one of the most loaded teams in the NFC. Unfortunately, they play in a division with another loaded team. So I'm going to take the over. I think they'll win 10 games easily. I think Trey Lance could be on MVP watch coming up, but I'll take the over.
I'll take the under. I think Trey Lance is going to struggle a little bit out the gate, just settling in. He's played like 3 games of quarterback in 4 years, and now he has to go be a full-time starter. Jimmy G breathing down his neck. We know the coach prefers Jimmy G. We know Trey Lance was annoyed by the fact that Jimmy G got an extension to stick around. That might be in the back of his head. It might take him a little while to get through that. And overall, I don't really trust the health of their team overall. Those guys deal with a lot of injuries. Trent Williams bound to regress a little bit, I think, from the greatest OL season ever. So, yeah, I'll take the under here, but barely.
Oh, I'm going over, and they'll win the division.
Ooh, spicy. So that leads us to the Super Bowl champion Rams at 10.5. I think I'm going to go with the over because I think they'll get to 11. San Francisco has to sell for 10. I think they'll have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. They'll start a little slow, shaky, and they might end a little shaky because Matthew Stafford's already coming in a little hurt, and they've lost Whitworth and a lot of players on that defense. But Sean McVay's scheme is unmatched, so I'm going to take the over, and this is my division winner for the NFC West.
Yeah, Sean McVay equals 10 plus, 11 plus wins for sure. They'll win the division. barring Stafford's elbow being a lot worse than what we actually think it is. And so, yeah, Rams take the over, take the division. I think they're more likely the 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, I have the over and them making the playoffs. I mean, I think they're an easy playoff team. I think they have the best trio on the defensive side with Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, and Aaron Donald. So I think they're definitely a lock for the playoffs.
Yeah, so I'll just run through my playoff teams for the NFC. I've got the Eagles coming out of the East. I've got San Fran and LAR, with LAR winning the division coming out of the West. I've got Green Bay at winning the NFC North, with Detroit and Minnesota joining them. And then I've got Tampa Bay winning the NFC South.
Yeah, I got Philly winning the division in the East with Dallas getting a wild card. I have Minnesota winning the North with Green Bay getting a wild card. I have Tampa Bay winning the division. I have San Francisco winning the division with LAR getting a wild card.
All right, I'll round it out. LAR, Tampa, Philly, and who am I missing?
North.
No, in Green Bay, they all win the divisions. I will put San Francisco as a wild card. I will put Dallas as a wild card, and I will put Carolina as a wild card.
Okay. Well, that's it for the NFC. Make sure to tune back in when we give our playoff predictions in the award prediction video, and we'll catch y'all next time.